Welcome to this Haiku Screencast. And in this screencast I want to show you how you can install Paladin. This is a programming editor. So this will basically the first video screencast about a series of videos that I want to make about programming under Haiku. And this won't be a beginner's tutorial in programming, because there are other resources that you might want to check if it comes to this. This will basically focus on already experienced programmers in other languages, on other platforms, for example. Also in other languages on the same platform, for example in JAP, the basic dialect basically, which allows you to easily program and create graphical applications under Haiku. And I will focus on the transition of those JAP developers into the C++ API world of Haiku. And yeah, this will be one of the first tutorials, and in this tutorial section I will show you how to install Paladin, the programming editor that we will use under Haiku. So if you already have Paladin installed and you know where to find the API documentation, then you can skip this tutorial basically and go on to the next one, which will be released in a few weeks. So first of all, basically if you are a beginner in programming and you want to start with Haiku and programming in Haiku, you can go to the haiku.com website, go to the development section here, and there you will find a very great documentation, learning to program with Haiku, lessons by Darkworm, who also released a book based on the lessons that he did. And this is basically a C and C++ beginners tutorial, and he explains in various different lessons how to start and work with different basic concepts of the programming language C and C++, and then later on you will also learn about programming in Haiku specifically. There's also another tutorial section going on which allows you to see or design programs for Haiku. So this will be not so beginners based book, but more for those who start working, or who already did this learning to programming, or read this learning to program book and did this lessons he created here. And this one can be also found on the haiku-org website. And one very interesting and very good documentation that we will deal with is also linked here in the haiku-os.org website. So if you don't have Haiku yet, you can just go in here and read the B book, which is a very good API documentation of the B RP, and of course also then because the Haiku RP does not have so much difference to the B RP, so it is also a very good guideline for those of you who want to program for or in Haiku. And of course, if you have Haiku already installed, you can just open up the B book, because it's pre-installed, comes pre-installed in the alpha releases, and there you have the B book. This is the index here. As you can see, you have the various different system overview kits. This is these are basically libraries which allow you to interact with the special daemons or servers that are available. Just for example, like the media kit. You got you get here some different explanations about what a bmedia file, for example, is, how what is used to do, and how you can use it with different methods, of course. And yeah, this is basically the B book, which allows you to see the different classes and methods as well of different methods and classes of different media kits, different libraries within the Haiku system. So one tool that we will use very often is a programming editor, and one of my favorite programming editors, and not only editor but also manager, is Paladin, which not only allows you to manage the code itself, but it also allows you to set up a version managing system based upon SVN or I think Mercurial, which is also allowed there. There are some others, but this is a really nice editor. If you don't want to stick with the Paladin user interface and the Paladin programming manager, you can also use the programming editor. Basically, this is called PE, and it's included in Haiku already. And you can just start it up, and it has some nice functionality, as we will see also in the Paladin editor, just like for example the extensions, which allow you to search for marked word in the bbook, or set some pipes and then paste some code into some paste bins on the web, and so on. So this is basically the P editor. It's also very handy if you want to code some HTML or Python scripts or bash scripts or so on. It has syntax highlighting and some nice features like auto indent and so on. So this is basically this. For installing Paladin, we usually go to the terminal, open up the terminal, and then we can just see the different packages that are already installed by typing in install optional packages -L and those packages that are available to install, and hopefully it will show me a list now of all the packages that I've installed on my system and all the packages that are available for download. It takes a little bit longer. I guess my internet connection is a little bit slow because it's pulling all the packages. It's first of all searching all the local packages that I've installed, and then pulling also the available packages from online sources. And here you have it. My optional packages that I've already installed, I can delete them. Those are, I think, basically all the packages that Haiku ships with, the optional packages. And then I have some packages that I can install also, and there you will find, let me search for it. Where is it? CMake blah 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 blah. Let's Paladin. There it is, Paladin. So you can just install Paladin by typing in install optional packages -A and then Paladin. It will then, just like a normal package manager would do, search for the dependencies and download also all the dependencies with the application itself, and then download the application, extract the application, and it will create a link in your feather menu. Basically, here in your deskbar under the applications menu, you will find Paladin then. So as you can see, my internet connection is a little bit low or slow, so I will stop this video here and continue when the application is installed. So Paladin is now installed, and now we can find Paladin under the feather menu, applications, Paladin. On the first start, you will get a manager which will ask you if you want to create a new project, if you want to open an existing project, open the selected project, or import an existing project that you have from IDE. So another IDE if you worked with applications that saved their project files as IDE. But we will create a new project here, and I want to show you the different options that Paladin allow you to do, or allow you to set. So click on this, and this manager will pop up, which will ask you about the project type. We have the option to create an empty application, so a completely empty application, or we can create a GUI application with a main window, a GUI application with a window and a menu, a kernel driver, a shared library or add-on, or a static library. We will start with a simple basic GUI with a main window. Click on this. We give the project a name, just like Hello World. We can change the target name. Basically, this is the name that the application will have when you create the application basically. So let me change this to hello. We can change the location of the project save folder basically. So on the default you can see it's set to the projects folder in your home directory, and I guess we can leave it as is. Then we have the source control version or version control option here, where we can set different version controlling systems like Mercurial or Subversion or Git, but Git is not available here. So let me choose here Subversion, because I want to show you then later on how you can use this as versioning control, and how it is useful and very important to use version control on if you want to collaborate with different people on one project. So leave the create project folder checked and click on create project, and this will open up our main project window in the top left corner. And as you can see here, it basically consists of a source file tree, which will show you all source files which are available in our project. Basically the main source files which are available in our project. And then you have a menu here which allows you to, of course, open up, save an application's project, go to the programming settings, or click about Paladin, and you have some project settings like the settings as well. You can add files to your project if you have some external files or libraries that you want to use in your application. You have the option to add files that are already existing, so no new files. So if I click on new file, you see I can create a new file, and I can create both header and a source file. What a header is, I will explain later on. And yeah, then we have also the option to change the system libraries, which is also very important. So you can here choose the system libraries for your project in a graphical manner, which allows you, those libraries allow you to use different methods, different API classes and methods, and they are very handy. And normally you would just simply include them in your source file. I can show you this as well, I hope, by opening up the app CPP within the editor. As you can see here, this editor looks very similar to the P editor that is in the default installation of Haiku. And as you can see here, there's some code written in here. The very important code is here, this include code, which is basically also including a library, which is, or a header file in this case, which is the app header and the main window header. And basically you can also do this by checking here the different libraries that you want to use, and you have some very important libraries here already checked that you need. And you can see there are some common libraries, there are some system libraries, and you can use all of the libraries that Haiku basically ships with. So this is this here. As you can see, just let me reduce the size of the window. As you can see, the editor just works like the P editor. You have the extensions like the debug fetch extension. You have the option to search and find and replace, or go to a line, jump to a line basically. Especially useful if you have bigger source code. And you have some text options as well, just like justify, which will just autocorrect the indentation level. And yeah, you have also some project options, which are basically the same project options that you have here, like adding new files, then make and run logged, run in bugger, force rebuild, and toggle errors. So let me show you this in this menu as well. You won't find the run and so on in the project menu here in the project manager. You will find it under the build menu. So I will explain this to you later. But one very important thing is the source controlling system. I've checked Subversion, as you might know, and in contrast to JAB, for example, where you have, if you are working and collaborate or want to collaborate with different people, you have some source code available in one file basically, and you send this file around to your friend and so on. And if he made some changes, you don't see them, especially if those changes are short changes. You won't see them in your file perhaps directly, and you have to search for them, or you have to ask your friend where he did changes and so on, or you have to ask him for sending you a patch file for your JAP application and so on. With the source control, you can see various different, or you can save various different versions of your file, and then you can see by simply making a diff from your version to the modified version of your friend, and you can see then the modifications that he did on your basic project, basically. And yeah, this allows you to check a project in. This allows you to push changes and to pull changes. So push changes up into this version control system. So if you have want to create a new version, specifically create a new version, you can push changes to your version control system. As you can see here, you can push changes to a remote repository, so it does not need to be on your local hard drive. It can be up somewhere in the cloud, up somewhere on a server. So this is very, very important if you want to work in big projects. So source control is built into Paladin. Then you have the option also to create a new group, rename a group, or sort a group. Let me click on rename a group, and you can see this little tree root here is the group name, basically, and we can just rename it or create a new group if you want to. For example, if you want to also, just like in other editors, want to include all the files that you are working with, even PNG files or something like this, you can create a group for them. So that you don't forget the name of those files and so on. Then besides the project sorting and group sorting and renaming, you have the option to show the project folder, basically, which will open up the tracker window with the project files. And as you can see here, we have, besides our main window CPP and app CPP, we have also an app H file, which is also included here, as you can see, so it needs to be there. And we have a main window H file, which is also included in the app CPP file, so it needs to be there, basically, but they aren't showing up here in the source files. So you can, of course, change it just by clicking on the project and then add the two files if you want to edit them, also with the normal Paladin edit, or Pal edit, how it's called. Then you have the project file itself, called PLD file, which is a Paladin file, which is called, of course, Hello World. So this is also very handy if you want to see which files you've created, which files are in your project window. Then we have the build menu. The build menu is very important, and you will run very often into this, and therefore it might be handy to learn the different shortcut commands here, Alt and R for run, or Alt and M for make. So what this basically is, if I want to explain it to JAP programmer, usually JAP and Bash and Python are normally scripting languages, basically, so that you have the option to just type in your source code and then click on run, and then will interpret this language that you wrote, and then directly convert it into an application. And but it's more dynamically, on the dynamic basis somehow. What this make will do is just look at the source code, convert it to an application, and then run the application. So this is somehow, you can compare this, if you're a JAP programmer, to binding an application. So if you bind an application in JAP, what you basically do is just grab your source code, grab all the libraries that you use, and build a binary out of them. And this is basically what you do here in, or what you need to do in C++ and the BRP, or C++ in general, if you want to create an application or run an application. So you have to make, basically, and then you can run. And let me open the project folder again, and let me put it down left here. And let me click on make. As you can see, this make will create a new folder with all the objects. Objects are basically libraries, more or less. that you have in or that are used for creating your program. And you can see that there is a new file called hello, and as you might remember, we typed in as we created our project that our program name basically should be hello, and this is our program basically. So if I just, as you can see, the icon changed to the programming icon or the program icon. If you double click on hello, it will open up our main window. As you can see, it's an empty window basically that we created. This is our application that we created in Paladin. You can also of course run the application directly by clicking on run, which will do exactly the same thing, except that it will on each time you click on run, it will build or rebuild your application with the make command, and then run the main application window, as you can see here. So under the build menu you have some other options, just like run logged, which will run the application or make the application, then run the application. And if you have some output, something like this, if you close the application, it will open up a terminal output window which show you all the different outputs that you might have done in your application, just like debugging output and so on. So this is also very useful, and there's of course the debugging tool, which allows you to debug debugging information compiled in and will need to be rebuilt to debug. Do you wish to rebuild and run the debugger? So that the application needs to be recompiled with the debugger included, so that you can debug your application, which is also very useful if you want to have not only if you don't want only to look at the source code and some programming functional errors that you did there, but some logical errors. But if you have some errors, specifically errors that are more concerning the way Haiku handles, for example, some different variables or some different system stores that you use and so on, then you might need to recompile here with the debugger enabled, which will allow you to just jump right into the binary application that's currently running, and then you can see the different variables it's using in the Haiku system, and which different Haiku system specific calls it uses and so on, and you can then debug your application in a better way. But we won't use this so much, I guess, in our first tutorials. So last but not least, there's also the option, of course, to set some run arguments. This is very important if you want an application that allows you to also use different arguments. For example, if you want to run the hello application with a different name, you can just set the argument here, and you then check and run the application again with this argument, and you can see then if it works or if it worked or not. You can of course update the dependencies, empty the build cache, and force rebuild if you have some problems with compiling and so on. Then there's the tools section here, which allows you to see the arrow window, which is basically now hidden. There we have it. The arrow window, which allows you to see different errors and warnings and copy them to the clipboard if you want to search for them in the web if you don't know what the error means. And yeah, this is the window that you will see if you have done some programming errors here, or some different or if you have some warnings that are in your source code. Then you have also the option to see the ASCII table, which is very useful if you want to just create a special character or something, or use a special character or special key combination and so on. This is very handy, very useful that it is built into the Paladin IDE. There you have the regular expression tester, which will test regular expressions basically, and you have also the option to see the symbol finder here, which allows you to search and find different symbols, and you can make a backup, which is also very important, especially very important if you don't use the version control system or the source control system. You can of course then create a backup here manually. And this is also very important if you have your software ready, you want to add a software license to your software. You can do so by just clicking on add software license, and then normally you have a list of licenses here, and you can see the summary and the full version of the license. Or you can write the summary. No, cannot write. Normally it should be in here, I think, the licenses. You can choose basically the license, and it will then also include the license, the short version, as the summary, in every source code that you or source code file that you have created, and therefore you can search, you can set the license for your application very easily. So this is only a very small amount of stuff that Paladin actually can do under the Haiku system. There is of course Paladin, which has also some very good, basically functions like stack and tile, zoom, worksheet. You can work with different windows here, the extensions, the search, the place, the text options here, and so on. But there's so much that I don't want to share them with you. I don't want to bombard you with these different features this editor has. So for the first lessons, I think the basic features that we will use here are file and save. So the Alt and S command or shortcut, and of course the build command, run and make. These are, I think, the most important shortcuts that you might want to get in your head. So this is basically the first beginner's tutorial in starting programming under Haiku. I showed you how you can install Paladin. I showed you some of the features of Paladin, how you can create your first project. If you want to create a first program with it, then just go to the next episode. There will be one episode regarding some basic programming and some basic explanation of the Haiku C++ API and how it somehow differs, but how it somewhere also shows some similarities to the JAP programming way, and how you can create windows, how you can create various different objects for your window in the C++ version of your application. So this is basically everything for this screencast. I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.